A large-scale reform was announced in the Russian army. After more than 300 days of war on the territory of Ukraine, the military command of the aggressor country decided that the resources of autumn mobilization were not enough if the hostilities dragged on.
In order to guarantee the solution of the tasks of ensuring the military security of the Russian Federation, we need to increase the strength of the armed forces to 1.5 million servicemen, including contract servicemen, to 695,000.
As part of the announced reform, they also plan to change the age of the conscripts.
Gradually increase the age of conscription of citizens from 18 to 21 years old and raise the military age limit to 30 years.
The number of military personnel under the contract should be increased by 290,000 people up to 695,000 men. It is planned that the Russian army will have 521,000 contract soldiers by the end of 2022.
Provide an opportunity to enter military service under a contract or be called up from the first day of joining this service at the request of citizens.
Allowing conscripts to conclude contracts makes possible an immediate sending them to the front line instead of undergoing military service. But even this fact, which essentially unties the hands of the military command, will not lead the Russian army to positive results, since the motivation of the Russian military will remain at a low level, unlike the motivation of the Ukrainian armed forces, the expert believes.
They are trying to repeat the reform of the armed forces of Ukraine, but we have been doing this for 8 years. Remember how our military stood in the Crimea, those speed jackets, 3 sizes larger, those silly army boots, and now it was an incredible change, but it wasn't about the money. Yes, there was something about money, but the reform was in the heads. Here, when they allowed our soldiers to carry out some military actions, relying on their knowledge, skills and vision.
As part of the reform, they also say about supplying the army, but according to the military expert, this is nothing more than a declaration of intent.
The reform is being done systematically, when it's not like, okay, we will have 100 aircraft, 1,000 missiles, 1 million servicemen. No, this happens gradually. You open ledgers, then start to count what you have, what you can do this year, how much to spend on small arms, to spend on the purchase of uniforms for 10% next year, then for 20% after that. You cannot make a reform in 1 year.
In the meantime, the condition and equipment of the Russian troops that are on the territory of Ukraine shows how even modern Russian tanks are actually protected. As part of the reform, the formation of 2 military districts in Moscow and St. Petersburg was announced, as well as plans to create 3 plants for the repair of military equipment in 2023. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Natalia Bilokudrya, Evgeny Karmazin, UATV News.